Ever feel like the universe is throwing random curveballs your way? Well, these games take that idea to a whole new level. Today, we're counting down the top 12 games where everything is a surprise. From random enemies to unpredictable power-ups, every playthrough is a brand new adventure, or disaster, depending on your luck. Stick around as we dive deeper into this world of chaotic fun. Up next, games where even the laws of physics are optional. Starting off our list at number 12, we have Faster Than Light, where space is not the final frontier but a random playground of chaos. You're in command of a spaceship, navigating a randomized galaxy full of surprises, alien encounters, ship battles, and choices that could make or break your mission. Every decision feels like a roll of the dice. One moment I'm basking in the glory of successfully repelling a pirate attack. The next, an asteroid comes out of nowhere and takes out half my crew. Just another Tuesday in space, right? And let's not forget the alien encounters. Ever tried to negotiate with an alien species that looks like a cross between a squid and a disco ball? Spoiler alert, it usually doesn't end well. But that's the beauty of Faster Than Light. One minute you're a hero, the next you're wiped out by a random asteroid. You just never know in space. The unpredictability keeps you on your toes, making every playthrough feel fresh and exciting. From space to deck building, next we're looking at a game that deals random cards and even more unpredictable enemies. At number 11, we have Slay the Spire, where your fate is determined by the luck of the draw. It's a roguelike deck building game where each run is unique thanks to random cards, enemies, and artifacts. Imagine building a deck with the precision of a master strategist, only for a random card draw to send it all crashing down. Yeah, that's Slay the Spire in a nutshell. One time, I thought I had it all figured out. I was on a roll, defeating enemies left and right. Then I drew a hand full of useless cards while facing an elite enemy. My health bar plummeted faster than my hopes and dreams. Who knew drawing the right card could mean the difference between victory and utter defeat? It's like poker, but with more monsters and fewer disappointed relatives. And those artifacts? Oh boy, they can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. One moment, you're invincible with a relic that heals you after every battle. The next, you're cursing an artifact that makes all your attacks cost more energy. But hey, that's what makes Slay the Spire so addictive. The randomness keeps me coming back for more, always thinking, maybe this time will be different. Spoiler alert, it usually isn't. Now let's dive into a dungeon full of random guns and even more random enemies. Number 10 is Enter the Gungeon, where you're literally dodging bullets in randomly generated dungeons. Every time I dive into this game, I feel like a kid in a chaotic candy store. The dungeons are a whirlwind of unpredictable enemies and weapons, making every run feel like an entirely new game. One second I'm wielding a banana gun, and trust me, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. Imagine firing off potassium-packed projectiles at enemies who look equally baffled and terrified. The next moment, I'm blasting away with a laser shark. Yes, you heard that right. A shark that shoots lasers. It's like the developers threw a party and invited every absurd weapon idea they could think of. And the enemies, oh boy. One minute, I'm facing off against Bulletkin, who look like they've walked out of a spaghetti western. The next, I'm scrambling to avoid sentient dynamite sticks that seem to have taken their explosive personalities a bit too literally. The chaos doesn't stop there. The bosses are another level of unpredictable madness. Imagine squaring off against a giant bird, wielding a Gatling gun, or a demonic ammo knight that makes you question all your life choices up to this point. But that's what makes Enter the Gungeon so addictive. The randomness keeps me coming back for more, always eager to see what bizarre combination of enemies and weapons the game will throw at me next. Speaking of things that keep you on your toes, let's head to the underworld with a godlike twist. Coming in at number 9 is Hades, where not Evan, the gods, know what's going to happen next. I remember my first escape attempt from the underworld. It felt like stepping into a mythological roulette wheel. One moment, Zeus is gracing me with his electrifying lightning powers and I'm feeling invincible. The next, I'm left with just my fists, hoping for the best and cursing my luck. The thing about Hades is that it's not just about brute strength, it's about making the most of what you get from the gods. Every blessing is a surprise package, wrapped in celestial uncertainty. One run, you might get Athena's shield that deflects attacks, making you feel like a god yourself. The next, Dionysus shows up with his hangover-inducing powers. Fun at a party, not so much in a fight. And those procedurally generated dungeons, they're a labyrinth of chaos. You think you've got a handle on things, but then you step into a room filled with traps and enemies that make your heart race faster than Hermes on a caffeine high. But that's the beauty of Hades. Every escape attempt feels like its own epic saga, complete with twists and turns that keep you on your toes. It's like playing a Greek tragedy where you're both the hero and the playwright. Next, we've got a game that's a puzzle, a roguelike, and a chaotic mess all rolled into one. At number 8, we have the Legend of Bumbo, a game where random puzzle tiles make every move count, or not. Matching tiles in random sequences lets you pull off attacks and special abilities, but the randomness keeps you guessing. One moment, I'm lining up bones and teeth like a demented dentist, thinking I've got this in the bag. Then the tiles reshuffle, and suddenly I'm one move away from doom. It's like playing chess with pieces that have a mind of their own, and that mind is clearly out to get me. And let's talk about those special abilities. Ever feel like you've got the perfect setup only for the game to laugh in your face? I thought I had it all figured out, ready to unleash a devastating attack. But no, a single misaligned tile turns my master plan into a slapstick comedy routine. It's like a puzzle game on chaos mode. Good luck keeping things under control. The humor here is relentless too. The game's art style is as quirky as its mechanics, with Bumbo himself looking like he's one bad tile match away from a nervous breakdown. I mean, who wouldn't be? You've got to love a game that keeps you on your toes and makes you laugh at your own misfortune. Now let's jump into a game that's not just random, it's downright dangerous. Number 7 is Spelunky 2, where random levels mean constant danger at every turn. I jump into the game, ready to conquer the underground world, but Spelunky 2 laughs in my face. Procedurally generated levels filled with traps and enemies mean I'm never prepared for what's coming next. Every step feels like a gamble. One moment, I'm navigating a seemingly safe path, and the next, an arrow trap shoots out of nowhere, taking me down a peg. I swear these traps have a vendetta against me, and those enemies? Don't get me started. Bats that appear just when you think you've mastered that jump? Every single time. Oh, you think you've got the hang of it after a few runs? Think again. Spelunky 2's got more surprises than a magician on caffeine. Just when I think I've got the layout figured out, a giant spider drops from above, making me question all my life choices. But that's the thrill of it. The unpredictability keeps me coming back, always hoping this run will be different. Spoiler alert, it rarely is. The game's humor shines through its relentless difficulty. It's like the developers are saying, oh, you think you're smart? Let's see how you handle this. And then bam, a hidden spike pit sends me back to square one. Up next is a game where even death doesn't stop you from trying your luck again. At number 6, we have Dead Cells, a roguelike that mixes randomness with fast-paced action. Every time I dive into Dead Cells, it feels like a chaotic dance. The levels are randomly generated, meaning I never know what to expect. One moment I'm breezing through corridors with an electric whip, zapping enemies left and right. The next I'm stuck wielding a frying pan, and yes, it's exactly as absurd as it sounds. Imagine taking down monsters with a kitchen utensil. It's both ridiculous and oddly satisfying. The abilities are just as unpredictable. One run, I might be blessed with a skill that lets me teleport behind enemies for surprise attacks. Another run, I'm stuck with an ability that makes me explode on death. Not exactly my first choice, but hey, it's part of the fun. It's like the game enjoys throwing curveballs my way just to see how I'll react. And those enemies? They're relentless. From skeletal archers to giant brutes swinging clubs, each encounter feels like a test of reflexes and luck. One wrong move and it's back to the start. But the thrill of the unknown keeps me coming back for more. The humor in Dead Cells is relentless too. There's something inherently funny about switching from an electric whip to a frying pan in seconds. It's like the game's way of saying, good luck out there. From cells to sanity, let's enter the world of psychological randomness.
To follow it.
At number 5, Darkest Dungeon takes randomness to a whole new level by messing with your heroes' minds. I remember my first dive into those cursed halls. One moment I'm fighting off eldritch horrors, thinking I've got everything under control. The next, one of my heroes starts freaking out because a skeleton sneezed in their direction. Random events in the dungeon impact not only your hero's health, but their sanity, adding a new layer of unpredictability. Picture this, you're deep in the dungeon, low on supplies, and suddenly your healer decides to have a full-blown panic attack. They're now convinced everyone's out to get them and refuse to heal anyone. It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together. Your team might survive the monsters, but good luck surviving their emotional breakdowns. One time, my tank started hearing voices and attacked our own mage. I'm sitting there yelling at the screen, "We have enough problems without you going rogue." And then there are those random quirks they develop. One hero becomes obsessed with cleanliness in the middle of a dungeon full of mud and blood. Another develops kleptomania and starts stealing loot for themselves. It's like managing a dysfunctional family on a really bad vacation. But that's what makes Darkest Dungeon so engaging. The constant mental strain keeps me on edge, always wondering what fresh hell my heroes will bring upon themselves next. Now, let's leave the dungeons and head to the randomness of an entire planet. Coming in at number 4 is RimWorld, where you're managing a colony with random disasters waiting at every turn. Your colony is thriving, crops are growing, everyone's happy, and the defenses are solid. Then, out of nowhere, a random lightning strike sets your entire food storage on fire. Suddenly, you're scrambling to put out the flames while your colonists run around like headless chickens. It's like the game's way of saying, feeling comfortable? Not for long. And those raids? One moment, I'm trading peacefully with a neighboring faction. The next, a group of angry raiders decides it's the perfect time to crash the party. My colonists grab whatever weapons they can find. One guy ended up wielding a frying pan. It wasn't pretty. Natural disasters add another layer of chaos. I once had a toxic fallout that turned my lush green paradise into a barren wasteland. Colonists were vomiting everywhere. It was like an apocalyptic frat party. But my favorite random event has to be the psychic waves. Imagine half your colony suddenly becoming obsessed with cleaning everything in sight because a psychic drone decided to mess with their minds. One colonist cleaned so obsessively he forgot to eat and passed out next to a sparkling clean toilet. RimWorld keeps me on my toes, always adapting to whatever fresh disaster the game throws at me. It's stressful, but in the most hilariously unpredictable way. Speaking of chaos, let's get back into the unpredictable world of spellcraft. At number 3, Noita takes randomness to the next level with its interactive physics and chaotic spells. Every pixel in the game is physics-based, and random spells mean you'll often blow yourself up just as much as your enemies. Imagine wading through a cave, thinking you've got everything under control. You cast a fire spell, only to watch in horror as it melts the ground beneath you. Suddenly you're plunging into a lava pit you didn't even know existed. Oops. The first time I played, I thought I'd mastered the art of spellcasting. I had a wand that shot fireballs. What could go wrong? Turns out a lot. One rogue fireball hit an oil barrel, and the resulting explosion sent me flying across the screen. It was like watching a magic trick gone horribly wrong. You think you're safe until your random fire spell accidentally melts the ground beneath you. I remember standing on what I thought was solid ground, only for it to disintegrate in seconds. Next thing I knew, I was free falling into a nest of angry spiders. But that's what makes Noita so thrilling. The unpredictability keeps me on edge, always questioning my next move. One moment you're on top of the world, the next you're plummeting into chaos because of one ill-timed spell. Up next is a game that randomizes everything, from items to maps. You never know what's coming next. At number 2, we've got Risk of Rain 2, a game that takes randomness to new heights. The first time I played, I dropped into an alien world, unsure of what to expect. The procedurally generated maps meant that every run felt like exploring a new planet. One minute, I'm sprinting through lush fields with the wind at my back. The next, I'm dodging fireballs in a lava-filled nightmare. Enemies? They come out of nowhere. You think you're handling things fine until a horde of beetles swarms you from behind. Or worse, a giant stone golem appears out of thin air, ready to flatten you into the ground. But the real kicker is the items. Will you get that awesome power-up? Or will the game give you a random jellyfish swarm? Only one way to find out. I remember finding a chest and hopping for a jetpack. Instead, I got a bundle of fireworks that went off in my face. Thanks, game. The randomness keeps me coming back for more. One moment, I'm blessed with a healing drone that makes me feel invincible. The next, I'm scrambling for cover because the game decided to throw an elite boss at me out of nowhere. And finally, let's end with a roguelike classic that defines randomness. Taking the top spot is The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. This game is a wild ride through procedurally generated dungeons, packed with random items and ever-changing synergies that make each run an unpredictable nightmare, in the best way. I start as a crying child named Isaac, fighting off monstrous enemies with nothing but my tears. It's dark, it's weird, and it's strangely compelling. One moment I'm dodging flies and spiders in a dank basement. The next, I picked up an item that transforms my tears into laser beams. And then there's the mutations. Oh boy, the mutations. One run, I picked up something called the Inner Eye, which made Isaac's eyes bulge out and shoot triple tears. I thought I was unstoppable, until I picked up another item that turned me into a floating head with disembodied limbs. Let's just say I wasn't winning any beauty contests. The synergies are where things get really interesting. Combining items can lead to some truly bizarre effects. I remember finding brimstone that turns tears into a continuous laser beam. Combine that with Tammy's head, which shoots tears in all directions, and suddenly I'm a spinning disco ball of death. But it's not just about the items, it's also the rooms themselves. You walk into what looks like an empty room, only for the walls to start closing in with spikes while enemies pour out from hidden doors. You think you're prepared? Think again. Each playthrough feels like its own twisted adventure, where survival depends on both skill and sheer luck. One minute you're hanging on by a thread, the next you've become an overpowered monstrosity capable of wiping out entire rooms in seconds. And that's the unpredictable beauty of The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. So from space adventures to dungeon crawls, these games show that randomness can be both exhilarating and, well, a little bit terrifying. Whether you're dodging fireballs in Risk of Rain 2 or questioning your life choices in Darkest Dungeon, these games keep you guessing and your adrenaline pumping. If you like surprises or just want to see what chaos the gaming gods throw your way, these are the games for you. The unpredictability makes each run feel fresh and keeps you coming back for more punishment or maybe just a lucky break. Did we miss any random games? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and roll the dice on more chaotic gaming content. Thanks for watching. Remember, life is random, and so are the best games.